You can't.
I want to talk about color now. I want to talk about the black color, because this is coloration. The whole problem of coloration, the fact that slaves don't have to be black, but the majority of them were black. Why do you think the majority of them were black? Could it be because of the Quran as well?
In Islam, there are some verses in the Quran, some questionable verses in the Hadith, where it seems that the color black is inferior to white.
Shall we look at some of them?
Yeah, let's look at some.
Where does the curse of Ham come from?
Let's look at Surah 3, Ayah 106.
So Surah 3, 106. On the day when some faces will become white and some faces will become black. As for those whose faces will become black, to them will be said, did you reject the faith after accepting it? Then taste the torments in hell for rejecting faith.
So some faces will become white and some faces will become black. But those faces which become black, they rejected faith and they shall be in hell.
Yes.
So the black faces will go to hell. The white faces go where?
The white faces, they go to paradise.
How do you know that? Surah 39, Ayah 60. See, the Quran now even tells us where the black faces go. Go ahead. Read Surah 39, Ayah 60.
So Surah 39 is talking about the black faces. And on the day of resurrection, you will see those who lied about Allah with their faces blackened. Blackened. Even if it was darkened. There is an issue with color in the Quran.
So, here we go. The blackened faces go to hell. The whitened faces go to heaven.
We have different Qurans. Some Qurans are saying blackened, some Qurans are saying darkened. We're having different Qurans.
It's obviously the darker faces go to hell.
It's not the lighter faces going to hell.
I want you to read now. I want you to read about Al-Tirmidhi. Let's go and look at Al-Tirmidhi. He's considered one of the most authoritative hadith speakers. Let's look and see what Al-Tirmidhi says, because Al-Tirmidhi is one of the 6 most authoritative compilers of the hadith. What does he write? Go ahead and read it.
Tirmidhi says, number 38, narrated Abu Darda, Allah's messenger said, Allah created Adam. When he had to create him, he struck him, his right shoulder, and there emitted from it white offspring, as if they were white ants.
So white people come from the shoulder of Adam.
Yeah, it came out like they were white ants. And then he struck his left shoulder, and there emitted from it the black offspring.
The black offspring. So you see a difference in coloration between the white, and let's just say it's dark, okay? So the white and the dark. The white on this side from the right shoulder, the black on this side from the left shoulder. Continue on.
Black offsprings as if they were charcoal.
As if they were charcoal. What color is charcoal?
Charcoal is extremely dark. It's black.
It's black like your hair, is it not?
It's black like my hair.
So it's even defining what kind of black we're here. See, now we're taking him on from his own tradition. This is the black people, is it not? This is the black people, is it not? Continue on.
He then said to those who had been admitted, we're reading your sources. To those who had been admitted from the right soldier for the paradise, I do not mind.
So here we have over here, we're reading right from his own 10 minutes.
From Islamic sources.
And he's calling it lies.
We're not reading from Christian sources. We're reading from Islamic sources.
You can see why he's upset, because we're reading his own material. Okay, folks, let's continue. What does it say about those people from the right shoulder?
The ones from the right shoulder, they're for paradise, and I do not mind.
Then he said
to those who had been admitted from his left shoulder, these are for hell, and I do not mind.
We'll get into an analysis of the text that they use in a few moments' time, but for now, let's just think about what's going on here. They've already said Islam teaches only white people will go to heaven, and they haven't used or misused some obscure saying from the 12th century, Muslim scholar in the 12th century or something like that. They've actually misused a Quranic verse, something that every Muslim should be familiar with, right? So keep that in mind. Now, Even if you don't know anything about Muslim texts, you've never read the Quran before, you've never read a single hadith before, as long as you're a critical thinker, you'll recognize what they're saying is absolutely outlandish. How so? Firstly, you just need to turn on the television or travel across the Muslim world. Although Islam is the most variegated religion in terms of ethnicity and race, along with Christianity, it's quite discernible that most Muslims are non-white. The vast majority are non-white. So these people are telling us the Quran, a book that every Muslim should be familiar with, the teachings of such every Muslim should be familiar with, is telling most Muslims that they'll never go to heaven just based on their aesthetics, based on their hue, their skin color. What are they saying here then? Subconsciously, I'm not saying these people are consciously saying this, but subconsciously, what radiates from this argument is a demeaning message saying Muslims are stupid. They're in a religion that tells them that they won't go to heaven. The vast majority won't go to heaven. Let's have a look at what the Quran actually teaches in this regard. Does it teach that skin color is a criterion for a person's salvation, or does it teach something else? This is a Quranic ayah where we can get the answer from. O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. So what do we see here? We see the Quran is telling us that God consciousness is the criterion that Allah will use to judge us. It doesn't mention anything about skin color. Let's have a look at a couple of prophetic sayings which refute the message that these individuals were promulgating at Hyde Park. The Prophet said, O people, your Lord is one, and your father Adam is one. There is no virtue of an Arab over a foreigner, nor a foreigner over an Arab, and neither white skin over black skin, nor black skin over white skin, except by righteousness. Again, this is about God consciousness, and it's refuting the idea that black or white skin color is a criterion of judgment. Let's have a look at another prophetic saying here. Allah does not look at your appearance or your wealth, but He looks at your hearts and your deeds. Again, it's telling you appearance is irrelevant. So it doesn't matter if you're black or white. That's not going to be a criterion of judgment. What we've established here is that Islamic teachings are in opposition to the claims these individuals were promulgating at Hyde Park Speaker's Corner. Let's have a brief scholarly overview of the attribution of the colours black and white in relation to the type of text these two individuals were referencing. Do these colours refer to a skin colour or something else? Let's have a read. This is from Sheikh Hamza Yusuf's book. The notion of associating the colour black with sin is not racist in its origins. The attribution has long been used, even among black Africans who refer to a person who is wretched as black-hearted. The Quran says about successful people on the Day of Judgment that their faces become white. This does not mean white as a hue of skin. For those who have English as a secondary language, hue of skin just means skin colour. Rather, it refers to light and brightness, which are spiritual descriptions not associated with actual colour. A black person can have spiritual light in his face, and a white person can have darkness, and vice versa, depending on one's spiritual and moral condition. So here, what do we realize here? We realize that these descriptions of black and white, they're not about actual skin colour as we see it today. When Christians use malicious polemics like this to attack Islam, it's so often the case that these arguments can be used against them. So if we were to use this type of method of argumentation, the insincere person could use it against the Bible too. Let's have a look at Lamentations 4. Their princes were brighter than snow and whiter than milk, their bodies more ruddy than rubies, their appearance like lapis lazuli. But now they are blacker than soot, they are not recognized in the streets. Their skin has shriveled on their bones, it has become as dry as a stick. So here, if the insincere person wanted to make those type of arguments, they could do so. Using this particular verse, you'll see another example in the clip that I'll show you from Darkness to News video, which addresses an anti-Muslim pastor who was making the same argument. There's more information there. I think through this clip, we can conclude that these two individuals need to retract these arguments.
Tell you what, friends, I don't know about you, but I don't want a Muslim doctor. I don't want a Muslim pilot. I don't want a Muslim taxi cab driver. I don't want a Muslim bus driver.
And here we go.
I hate to leave this one dangling. Perhaps Akil later can address this, but in the Quran, Surah 3, verse 106, it says, on the day when some faces will be whitened and some faces will be blackened. That's an interesting day. What day is it? So some people are going to be made white, some people are going to be made black. And those whose face have been blackened, it will be said unto them, disbelieved ye after your profession of belief? Then taste the punishment of that ye disbelieve. So the people who will become black are going to go to hell. Interesting. Also in Surah 39, verse 60, and on the day of resurrection, thou, that is Muhammad, seest those who lied concerning Allah, with their faces blackened. Is not the home of scorners in hell? Interesting. It seems to associate, and there's other hadith, which we'll take a look at if time permits, black offspring looking like charcoal going to hell, white offspring of Adam going to heaven and paradise. Perhaps Akil could answer that after we come back from the break.
يوم تبيض وجوه وتسود وجوه.
And if you're going to be a Muslim who disagrees, that's one thing. That's your privilege to do that. But at least understand what it is that we teach. Don't misrepresent us because you don't want to be lying or practicing taqiyya. You want to be telling the truth, right?
You gotta be kidding me.
Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me.
It's important to understand that Islam was a tremendously egalitarian religion. one that did not recognize color biases, and this was especially important when you get out to India, where there are a lot of populations there who are living in a rather rigid caste structure, and many of the lower castes saw Islam as a tremendous opportunity for social, political, and economic advancement, and so Islam really appealed to them as well.
Tony loves to talk about systematic theology. How are you going to invite me to a systematic theology about Christianity, but you repeatedly fail to do a systematic theology about Islam? You never take the whole context. You just bring the conclusion, and then you say, here, this hadith over here and over there, and then look at this. But you never bring the whole picture.
Islam was a tremendously egalitarian religion, one that did not recognize color biases,